At the present time, I just don't give a damn. Who knows I'm gay, and who doesn't know? It makes no difference to me, and I just shudder at the kind of closeted life I led years ago. And it's great to be free. And maybe just, I'm glad to have a few years at the end of my life when I can be really free.
Some of them were very, very uncomfortable about sharing their age, and they just refused to do that. And I think that the stigma within the gay community has really affected the way people talk about their age and, believe that they're over the hill at a lot younger age than I think the general population. So I don't feel old at all. But a lot of people would probably, 20-year-olds would probably think that I was old. I'm 53.
I hate when people judge people of a different age, and it sucks because you don't know how much of a great person they are. You can meet somebody who's like a mid-27 gay guy, but he's dumb as fuck. But you can meet a 16-year-old kid, and he's smart as hell. And I'm like, who are you going to stick with? I stick with a 16-year-old because he knows what he wants to do with his life. He's a fun kid, and he likes to hang out.
The way we deal with aging is using Aveda products as much as possible.
It seems like there's a lot of emphasis on that in the community, with so much emphasis on youth and beauty, which is really societal. I don't think it's just the gay community. I mean, if you look at women's fashion magazines, it's kind of, in many cases, an unattainable look that we're trying to achieve.
I specifically think that when we get down to understanding what we really want from each other, what we really want from ourselves, then I think we will be able to understand that this shallow kind of mediocre way of accepting each other and accepting ourselves really isn't going to sustain any quality of life.
We are constantly bombarded with, himbos in the same way, muscular male gods with large penises, and, unattainable good looks. I mean, the guys are often, on steroids. So, they aren't even occurring in nature. So, it just in the same way that a girl who maybe has dark features or is a little bit chunky or has, wide hips would be intimidated by the images of, 15-year-old airbrushed anorexic models on, their it does the same thing for any of the gay community that looks at these images constantly and feels that they can't measure up. And I've always been aware of ageism in the gay community. There was always the notion when I was growing up, I was remembering this queen had said, ooh, you went with that troll? It was an older guy, and the other one said, yes, girl, but did you see that car? So there's this kind of attitude of, it's not exactly prostitution, but it's kind of like, what can I get? I'm young and hot, and you're older, so you either have to have a big dick, money to spend, something like a big car, or some kind of scene status or whatever.
How do we deal with aging in our community? Not so well. I think that gay men are kind of vain and aging is kind of like painful.
The more you age and the further you get away from the ideal man image that's driven, into our heads on every single gay ad. I mean, even the ones for the AIDS medicines look like they just, $1 million. Wow.
I feel like it is a terrible, terrible situation to get old. I feel like it is completely unacceptable, and that's not my perspective.
Terribly. Well, I don't know, the gay community is very narcissistic, and I don't know if there's anything to fix that. It's kind of hard to be the same sex that you're attracted to and look in the mirror and not, which is why gay people are probably so judgmental. You look in the mirror and you're either attracted to yourself or you're not.
There is an element of self-hatred where we're saying, we want, the dancers that we're hiring are straight, or, because they look the best or whatever. But is that because they don't have any queenie mannerisms, because we hate those queenie mannerisms in ourselves? Or the reason we're hiring straight bartenders because, the same reason, they're more butch, more unattainable?
I think old is dead. And that's really, maybe that's the definition that's in my brain, that's been instilled in my brain. If you're old, you're dead. If you're old, you're done. You don't go out anymore. You don't have sex anymore. You don't, guys aren't attracted to you anymore. And so I don't want to be old. If I'm old, I don't want to be around.
We are attracted to our same sex, and I don't know a way to naturally get around that. It's different with women, attracted to a girl, you don't judge yourself the same, but I know the gay people are a pretty bunch, and once they're not pretty, or once they see things that aren't pretty, they're very vocal about it.
There's no such thing as a fountain of youth, and I believe that if you just, be yourself, everything else is gonna fall into place.
How did we lose our compassion? I don't know. Did we ever have it? I really don't know if we did. For me personally, every or almost every personals ads that I would read in a gay publication since I can remember has said no fats, no fibs, and being both. It's like you kind of feel like you're at the bottom of the totem pole in that respect, which is why you kind of migrate to a different totem pole and say your set of values doesn't matter so much. But it really, and so that I can be embraced as the goddess that I am. But I think the gay community is, first of all, the body fascism is just crazy. And I even know of DJs who complain that they can't get work, even though they're great DJs with a great history of working the best clubs in New York City, if they don't have a gym physique or if they aren't good looking. I'm like, honey, the music is in your ears. Why would you be hiring someone who, are you going to get up in the DJ booth and blow them? It's so absurd that just so you can put on an invite a hot DJ.